That might have been the best game of the tournament. Certainly it was the highest level of football that we've seen this tournament. France 2, Germany 0. Germany dominated the first half after around 10 minutes, pinning the French back to make sure they just didn't have enough runners to create coherent attacks. Griezmann particularly was forced far too deep, and whilst Matuidi, Pogba and Kante hasn't always worked as a midfield, Kante's covering to free them was hugely missed. But home field advantage matters a lot. Part of that is to do with refereeing decisions, like in the 2014 World Cup in the Brazil vs Croatia game. Yes, it was a handball for the penalty, but a lot of referees in a lot of games would not have given that decision. Griezmann puts away the penalty, and it's a different game from then on. The second goal came from Kimmich's best John Stones impression. Pogba then gets the ball, is brilliant technically on the ball, as he always is, crosses it into Griezmann, who hits it with like the underside of his foot. It really was a beautiful finish. An arguable penalty and an individual defensive error isn't usually how even injury-ravaged Germany sides are beaten, but France, fair play to them, took full advantage today. Let's get into the analysis of France and Germany. It's difficult to say too much about international tournaments because there's only so much we can learn about teams from just a few performances. But with that in mind, France and Germany were the favourites going into this tournament, and it's not difficult to see why. Germany probably have the best squad, whilst France have one of the top squads and home field advantage, which is massive in domestic football and even bigger on the international stage. Against Romania, France's positioning was bad. Romania pinned back their midfielders by overloading on long balls, and they eventually looked a lot more comfortable when they were playing with a more balanced midfield. Ultimately, they relied on Payet showing that he also has a magical left foot, but it was the first performance which showed up their sort of iffy defence. These expected goals numbers around me basically measure the quality of your chances, and they predict future results better than goals, or shots on target. There's a reason why it's the go-to stat for top professional football clubs. Again, against Albania, France looked a little bit awkward, almost as if they haven't played together that much over the past 2 years, and Switzerland was a classic game of two teams that don't have that much to play for. It doesn't fit the passion narrative, but Ireland weren't good this tournament. I agree with the Michael Cox view that they were defensively decent against a bad Sweden team, they were bad against Belgium, and they made it through against an Italy side that didn't care about the result. Ireland were alright against that awkward Kante, Pogba, Matuidi midfield from the Romania game, but when Griezmann played centrally, they were ripped apart. Similarly, Iceland, who are a better actual counter-attacking team, also got completely ripped apart by France. The interesting question for me from the Iceland game is, when France conceded those goals near the end from the wings, was it because we haven't really seen them play a decent team this tournament and their defence and ageing fullbacks got shown up, or was it just because they didn't really care, they were 4-0, 5-1 up anyway? I don't know the answer to that question. Germany mostly walked through their opening games with the caveats that 1, they still don't really know what they're doing at striker, and 2, they looked very vulnerable to counterattacks because their midfield is very slow, they're winning the ball high up the pitch, and Khedira isn't a real defensive midfielder. Having said that, they do what they do well against pretty decent teams. Germany have created a host of fantastic chances, and sure, their finishing has been a bit crap, but I don't think that's a systematic problem with players like Thomas Müller. Their centre-backs have some of the strongest distribution skills in the world, and Hector and Kimmich work well with them to get the ball to players like Kroos. Then that midfield, particularly Kroos, are just ridiculously good at moving intelligently, passing diagonally through the lines into the half spaces, where players like Mesut Özil can use that improved field of vision that you get from half spaces to just destroy defences. Germany's quarter-final game against Italy was weird, but given how Italy the round before beat Spain by destroying everything useful they were trying to do with their 3-5-2, I think Germany's pretty meh 3-5-2 made a lot of sense, even though it wasn't the best system for them. So, all in all, that game was great, and it could turn out to sort of be the real-ish Euro 2016 final. If you enjoyed this analysis, please hit subscribe if you want to see more, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you for the next video.